Okay, good afternoon everyone. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to work with Pebeo paints. If you did not see my Facebook post, I recently went and bought a set of 12 Pebeo paints. And it came in a box like this. It's a big box. There's the colors on the side. Sorry if you hear my birds and my dog in the background. I have pets, so naturally you'll probably be hearing them. So, you don't need a lot to do this, really. You just need your clay piece. So mine is already baked, and this is actually from Indie Jam. It was one of the pre-made pieces from Angela, so thank you, Angela, for those pre-baked pieces. And I got the lot of 12, and we need to talk about Pebeo paints a little bit real quick before we can just jump in and use them. One thing you need to know about Pebeo paints is that they are separated. I'm going to turn on my light for a second, so it might be some weird lighting. So if you look, up here is like the oil, the paint, the chemicals. And down here is just straight mica powder. So ladies, I'm assuming you have makeup, so you would know in your makeup, there's mica powder, and that's how you get your pigments and your pearly pigments. Well, this is just the straight mica. There's nothing else in here. So you have to stir this before you can use it. And we are going to be doing that. So you can't, I had a lady ask a very good question if you could like shake it or add one of those little metal balls and shake it. You cannot do that. If I shake it, let me shake it off the camera real fast. The mica powder did not move at all. Because it is almost like a putty. It is a putty-like consistency. So you do have to stir in order to get it going. And I know some people kind of are like, well, I really don't like the stirring time, or I really don't like, you know, having to wait so long for it to dry. But the thing about Pebeo paints, that's just their property. You're just going to have to stir, and you're just going to have to let it dry. But it's fun to watch dry, because I will insert pictures here. They don't look like this when you first pour them. They look like, you know, just regular paint. So you over time get to watch these cells get created. So today I'm going to be using the color Onyx, which is like a black color, and the color Rogue Angeles. I don't know how to pronounce that. Comment below if you know how to pronounce that. But I have not used these two colors yet, so I don't know how they look. But we're going to go ahead and just give it a go. So I'm just going to unscrew the cap here. And if you see, it's filled up pretty high. So I'll just take my stick. I'll just go in here and just stir real slow. And if you see, you can see the mica powder. If I scoop up like this, you can see it. So you have to kind of lift it up and mix it. So while I'm mixing, I'll be right back when this is all mixed and my dog has been outside. Okay, sorry for the interruption. The struggle of having pets, the little one had to go out. But if you see, I'm just scooping it from the bottom and putting it in the center and just stirring and stirring and stirring and stirring and stirring. So you'll kind of know when it's done, because if you look, I'm gonna turn the light on again, you can see the mica. Susu, no baby. So you can see like the mica in there, and that's how you kind of know it's either getting done or it is done. If you don't want to stir all the way, you don't have to. That'll give you an effect like it will cause less cells. So it would be more like the top of this piece, like this right here. It'll look more like that. The more you stir it, you'll get more cells like this piece. So I guess that just kind of depends on the look that you're going for. I like the more cell look, but sometimes it doesn't always happen. These paints are very unpredictable, so you'll never know what it's going to turn out like till it dries. So once you think you've got this stirred in enough, get your already baked piece. I cannot stress that enough. This has to be baked. You can put Pebeo paint on your clay pieces and put it in the oven. but your Pebeo paint will turn brown. And that's not a good look, in my opinion. So I've got my piece laid on here. I've got my popsicle stick in the Pebeo paint. Okay, and I'm going to let it drip for a while, and then pull it over and let it drip on the piece. So I'm going to turn the light off again, because this lighting is so weird. I use it at night. But if you look, I'm just tapping it on. Let's see if we can get a close-up here. I am just tapping it on and kind of spreading it around. If you get overspill, it's fine. Just don't let it overspill too much. And it'll naturally, like, kind of dome itself almost. I don't want to touch the paint, so I'm going to use a second popsicle stick to get things going. But I'm just kind of placing it kind of where I want it to go. I want it to be more in the center. And you can always dip more if you have to. I'm going to have to do that. Dip a little and put some on. And this is just, this is all it is. You're just putting your paint on here and kind of just letting it do its thing. Now, what I do have to mention is something that Custom Tutorials also mentions in her video, is that bigger pieces, they will bend. And I know that sounds super bizarre and super weird, but the piece literally will bend. Like this one, it bent. Do you see that? It's bent. And like she says as well, it's like that's kind of a hit or miss thing. Just stirring the other one. I'm gonna zoom out here. You either may want that look or you may not want that look. It's just kind of, again, a preference thing. And one thing I can't stress enough about these paints is do all the experimenting that you can, because it will, you know, that way you can see all the different looks you can get and all the different stuff you can achieve. So while I am stirring this, I want to talk price points, because I feel like that's something that people will be probably asking in the comments. Now, if you get the 6-pack of Pebeo paints in the Prism set, it is $21.99 at Michael's. You heard me. You can get these at Michael's Craft Store. You no longer have to go online. And I think that's really convenient, because I like to be able to touch the product and feel it and size it. You know, that also factors in of whether or not I'm really going to use it. So if you buy the 12-pack, it is $41.99. But to me, that is like $100 because I'm a kid and I don't have an income. So use those coupons. Michael's right now has a 50% off coupon. So instead of $41, I got this for $22 total at Michael's. Now there's also 2 sets that you can get. You can get the Prism set in the pack of 12 or 40. You can get the pack of 12 or the pack of 6 in Prism. And there's also something called the Exploration Kit. Now that comes with Prism paints, moon paints, ceramic paints, and virtual paints. So if you want to try all the types of Pebeo paint, that's probably the one for you. If not, you just want the cell one, the Prism is the way to go. So as you can see, I've got this pretty well mixed up. I'm going to mix a little more though, because I still feel like some of the mic is at the bottom. So again, if you use your coupon, you can get the $21 one for around, $11. So I feel like that's probably a good way to start for those of you who've never touched Pebeo paint before. I like to jump feet first into things. So when I get something, I always go all out. You can ask anyone who knows me. So naturally, I got the 12-pack. And I always have lots of clay friends that I can give these to if I don't happen to like them. Which, sorry guys, won't be happening. I love these paints. Okay, I've got it all mixed up. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to pick some up and let it drip for a minute. And I'm going to bring it over. Now, the thing I like about these Pebeo paints is the way they mix. So like when these mix together, it is going to create the coolest effect. So then I'll dip in here again, let it drip for a minute. I really don't need that much over here. And then I need to let it go again. And it's okay to get messy, have fun, do the experiments, drag stuff around. Like these two, I'm gonna mix because I'm curious to see what happens. And as you can see, that's mixing all together. And there you go. So then you would just throw your stick away, put your cap back on, because the last thing you want is for everything to be drying. And that's your piece. So I've got a little spill over, and that's fine. What we'll do is we will just push that. I've got a little flamingo pencil. And again, like I said, these kind of naturally dome themselves, so you don't really have to worry about spilling over and having to wipe the sides. It's perfectly fine. So I'm going to zoom in on my piece. And you can kind of see little itty bitty small cells starting to form. Can you see that? There is little itty bitty baby ones. And I just think it's so fascinating how they start out itty bitty baby and they grow into these massive cells. And some of them can be so big. So the last step to your, well, this is the second to last step. Let me explain why. So now you need to let this dry at least for 24 hours before you can then put a coating. I have a few suggestions. So for UV resin, I suggest either Teresa's Deep Shine or Lisa Pavelka's Magic Gloss. And I prefer UV resin finish because I feel like it's shinier and harder. But if you prefer 2-part epoxy resin, then you can always get like Easy Cast or something and pour that over. But you have to wait till your piece is dry in order to apply your resin, at least for 24 hours. So that's all there is to Pebeo paint. I know they can seem really intimidating, really scary, but they're really not. So if you guys have any questions or I did not hit on any information you were looking for, just comment down below and I will gladly get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you guys so much for joining in, and I hope you had a wonderful time watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.